for something like that to happen. That fight's going to be there. You know, hopefully it happens soon. But we're looking to get back in the ring for the year out. And,
I'm fighting Gervonta Davis on
wow.
Netflix.
Let's go.
People think that he could actually beat me, and people think he could outbox me, and he's so powerful and this and that. That's what makes it a good fight. November 14th, Netflix.
That's it's definitely the one I want next, but it's not gonna be next.
What is?
You might see it in a minute.
For a fighter, self-confidence and reliance is a major piece of the game. Without these core aspects, a fighter loses their spark. But what happens when that self-confidence turns into delusion? Delusional is what people are calling Lamont Roach Jr. after he made the bold decision to call out not just any fighter, but Floyd Mayweather for a match. Following the collapse of the highly anticipated rematch with Gervonta "Tank" Davis, Lamont decided to shift gears, publicly challenging Floyd Mayweather to step out of retirement and face him in the ring. He did so by tweeting, "Come on now, Floyd set it up with me and you. We can run it. Let's see what you got left in that gas tank." Further taunting the GOAT as if this first call out wasn't clear enough, Roach claimed that Floyd Mayweather was making a mistake by promoting his student this eagerly. Instead, Roach believed that the retired fighter should go against him the ring, showing the world if he still has what it takes to be considered the greatest. Floyd Mayweather, you jumping your young bull out there too quick, and we all know how that would go wrong. Nothing personal, champ, but let's run it. I'll show you why. These callouts weren't unprecedented though. Having had faced the disappointment of not having the highly anticipated rematch against former opponent, Lamont reached out for the next best option. But what made it all even more interesting was the reason why the rematch was canceled. That is because Gervonta "Tank" Davis would be going against none other than Jake Paul on Friday, November 14th, 2025. Jake announced the match himself on his YouTube channel, claiming that he would finally be facing a real boxer as critics suggested.
I need you to answer one thing. What's the world's biggest critique of Jake Paul?
Everybody keeps calling for Jake Paul to fight a real boxer.
Real boxer.
Real boxer.
The time has come to get in the ring with boxers.
Exactly. Fight a real boxer. Well, how about the man himself, an undefeated world champion, knockout artist, Gervonta "Tank" Davis.
Moreover, even Jake Paul's promoter Nikisa Badarian claimed that it was always the team's plan to make Jake versus Tank happen, mentioning the fact that Gervonta "Tank" Davis himself had been calling out Jake Paul for a while now. Nikisa even went on to shut the critics who were commenting on the size difference between the two fighters, pointing at how once upon a time, people used to claim Tank would easily break Jake Paul.
Always been the plan for Jake to fight Tank once Canelo didn't happen. And to Tank's credit, he's a real bad dude, and he's been calling out Jake for 3 years. And people, it's funny how now they're saying size matters, Jake is big, when for so long it's been Tank would kill Jake Paul. And now you get to see if that's real.
Additionally, Nikisa Badarian commented on the rumor that this fight would just be considered as an exhibition and not a real bout, having no effect on either of the fighters' official records. He went on to say that the fight would be as real as people want it to be, while the fighters go against each other in any weight class they like. The rules and weight would not be given as much importance, just as it was during the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight.
What weight could they possibly be fighting at? You know, the news broke, Jake and Tank are gonna happen November 14th.
Whatever weight they want, man, they're talking about it, and whatever it is, there's gonna be a definitive outcome. People can talk about pro, exhibition. We're gonna make sure this is as real as it's real.
Why was it, just out of curiosity, why is it not a professional bout and why is it an exhibition? Because I'm sure Jake would have taken the professional bout.
Nothing's been communicated as yet in terms of what it is, right? Similar to, if you remember with Paul Tyson, when we announced it, we didn't have the weight, we didn't have the rules, particularly in terms of the number of rounds, the minutes. The gloves, it's going to be the same thing here.
However, experts and fans alike are not really on board with the matchup between the undefeated champion of the lightweight class and a fighter who does not even fight on a professional scale. Chael Sonnen had similar thoughts about the match, claiming that it would suck to have someone with a promising boxing career fight someone who keeps the MMA and boxing world as his third or fourth priority.
Tank has one job to do, which is to let anybody know that's listening that it doesn't make any difference, that boxing is a real sport. My skills versus your skills, of which I have an abundance of and of which you have none of. My life's commitment and dedication versus a second or third or fourth thought in the world of priority on your list.
Even Shakur Stevenson called this match a disrespect to the sport, claiming that there is no way he could see the win being handed over to Jake Paul despite the weight differences. According to Shakur, the intelligence and IQ you receive after having boxed your whole life cannot be undermined by sheer strength or body weight. So in the end, neither strength nor a punch can take down Gervonta Tank Davis, according to Shakur.
I mean, size will play some part of the fight, but if I'm thinking like I'm Tank, I'm probably just gonna go out there and try to outbox him and use my knowledge and IQ against him. So I can see Tank just outboxing him and making it real easy.
Is there any way you could, any realistic or legitimate way in your mind you could see Jake Paul winning a fight against Tank?
No.
No way.
Nope.
Not a lot of people have talked about Jake and said he's got good power. Not even, and I get anything could technically happen, but you don't even see a realistic shot where he could land one big punch, and Tank being so much smaller, he just can't handle the power.
Nah, not at all. I think Tank is he's been boxing his whole life. He's been boxing since a kid, so I doubt like that's gonna be an issue or problem. I think Jake is good for where he's at, but I think it's just levels.
Commenting on how Gervonta Tank Davis let down his rematch with Lamont Roach to pursue this matchup against Jake, Luke Thomas expressed concern over the fact that the US boxing future might be in danger. According to him, the fact that boxers are disrupting their own schedules to go head-to-head against Jake Paul shows that the boxing world might be shifting its priority, commenting on how Jake Paul can be seen as a bigger star than Lamont Roach.
Because, you know, the reality is that Jake Paul is an infinitely bigger star than Lamont Roach is, and that's just a reality. But like, now we're taking guys that some people have on pound for pound lists, or at least did, and they're interrupting their normal schedule of fights in order to compete against Jake. That's not what happened with Woodley. That's not what happened with Anderson. And that's not even what, I mean, Logan Paul and Mayweather was like the definition of sideshow. Like Floyd had been way done for years. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it felt like a frivolous extra. It didn't feel like, to me anyway at the time. And again, if people like Jake Paul's fights, if they don't, you know, to me, he's like been the king of sandbagging. This is a pound, or at least a guy who's at least ostensibly pound for pound, but you know, the weight difference is so extraordinary. It's insane. I don't know. It just seems to me like people go to Jake Paul when they're looking for a big payday.
Furthermore, Jeff Mayweather commented on the misbalance of the matchup, claiming that Jake Paul is way too big to be fighting someone of Gervonta's weight class. According to Jeff, neither of the fighters would be taking out much from the fight, making it an exhibition rather than an actual bout between two fighters. He stated that it doesn't matter whether either one of the fighters takes the win, since it's all an exhibitions for the fans to enjoy.
To me, it's just weird that you would fight a guy that small. And you're trying to prove something. And you're not really proving nothing by fighting a guy that's what, about 5 weight classes over.
So does either one of them prove anything if they knock out the other? Let's start with Tank. Does Tank prove anything?
I don't think that neither one of them are going to prove anything. I think that it's going to be an exhibition. So, and being that it's an exhibition, that means that nothing's going to happen anyway. Both of their hands going to be raised. It's different if it was a fight in which somebody's going to win. It's different, but it's an exhibition, so it doesn't matter.
Even Gareth A. Davies resonated with this thought, claiming that the fight is nothing but a circus and a joke. With amusement, Gareth noted how the two fighters have a difference of 5 weight classes between them, not to mention the 8 inches of height difference between Jake and Gervonta. Even Gareth admitted that the only reason fighters are not hesitant to step inside the ring with Jake Paul is because they know would make a lot of money doing a show inside the circus.
Jake Paul, but 8 inches in height difference, 7 weight divisions between them, 5 stone, 70 pounds between them. It's a joke. It's a circus fight as opposed to a disgrace of a fight, which was Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. At least you feel in this you've got quite a poor, very big one against a pound for pound brilliant unbeaten little un, and the little un who'll come up to his navel will hit him with a lot of body shots. I said in the week with to Danny Kelly and Charlie Brooker that do I mean Charlie Brooker? No, Baker. Charlie Baker. That Charlie Brooker's a different person altogether. That he'll be throwing the Superman punch, the leaping left hook, It's going to be a very odd thing. It's called, in inverted commas, an exhibition bout.
On the other hand, amidst the criticism and hate, Aiden Ross sided with Jake Paul on this fight, claiming there is no way that Jake wouldn't win the bout. According to him, this fight was a genius idea from Jake's end, claiming that the expectations and hype set by Jake Paul's fights are incomparable. Aiden even went on to claim that Jake Paul revived the world of boxing, having raised the bar of what it means to be a fighter and a boxer.
We'll see. We'll talk about Teal later, but yeah, that'll be the main event as of right now, yeah.
Will Charleston White be on that card?
I don't know. You want to fight? When you see him tomorrow, maybe you ask him. We're going to get Unk a fight very soon. He wants to get back in there. He told me. He says, who do I want to fight next? And after you, I'll fight anyone. So he wants to fight. So we'll get Charleston a good fight. We'll figure it out. We'll get him the best fight. We'll get him in there very soon.
A couple more things before I let you go. Jake Paul is fighting Gervonta Davis.
Crazy.
Your thoughts on this?
I have locks with Snaggy right there. I think Jake Paul wins that fight.
Additionally, Eddie Hearn claimed that he cannot be a hypocrite by pointing fingers at the fake nature of the fight, saying that while the fight is purely an exhibition, he cannot blame Gervonta Tank Davis on taking up the fight. Eddie compared the fact that Tank would make millions on a fight that would just be fought as an entertaining show, whereas if he had taken up Lamont Roach on the fight, he would have had the possibility of facing a loss by the hands of his opponent, which could prove detrimental for his career. So weighing the odds, for Gervonta taking up the fight against Jake was the easier solution.
You know, I've had a lot of media asking me my opinion of it today. It is what it is. I think on one side you have to understand the business of it. I hate these exhibitions. I hate these 14-ounce gloves. I don't know what it's going to be, but like, you know, you've got Jake, who's a 210, 220 pounder fighting a 135 pounder. Bit weird, but at the same time, you know, I can't be a hypocrite and say, if you're Gervonta Davis and you're being offered 20, 30, 40 million, whatever the number is, and you're getting 7 or 8 to fight Lamont Roach in a 50-50, what are you going to do? I mean, maybe the kid's half checked out of the game anyway, you know? So I think as long as we kind of established it's not boxing and it's just this entertainment thing, then I get it.
Moreover, Antonio Tarver claimed that Jake Paul saved Gervonta Tank Davis from a match that he ultimately did not want to fight, which was his rematch with Lamont Roach. Antonio stated that this would be the fight that would shed the most light to Tank's career, and that Roach would have likely had a way of defeating the Tank, since he was now familiar with the fighter's style, technique, and overall fighting prowess. However, if Gervonta would have beat Roach if they went head-to-head, that too could have been a showstopper.
I can't say, bro. It looks like it. It looks like he didn't want that. He didn't want to go back down that road, and Jake Paul saved him from that. You know, Jake Paul saved him from that, bro. He got out. You know what I mean?
That's the one that's going viral, Chin. That's a good one. Jake Paul saved him. Got you. I mean,
yeah. But that's the truth. It seems like. Yeah. And Roach, you know, hey, Roach came with it, bro. And it looks like through their familiarity coming up in the amateurs and all that together, you know, Roach really know him better than most fighters.
Might have heard this one before.
Him, you know what I mean? Roach know him, bro. So yeah. I think that was you know, hindsight always 2020. I didn't think he wanted to go back down that. That was a tough out for him. At his best, Roach was gonna be a tough out. But if he could have went in there and shut Roach down and maybe knocked Roach out in the rematch, now you talking about a boxing icon, bro.
Furthermore, Lamont Roach Jr.'s father and coach, Lamont Roach Sr., claimed that the fight is not over yet, even though it has been canceled for now, him and his team, and trying his best to make it happen anytime in the future. According to him, Lamont Roach Jr. and his team cannot stay stagnant. They will be fighting in the meantime while waiting for the rematch to be on the table again.
Yeah, he pretty much said it all, you know, like, that's the fight we won, and I think that's the fight the fans want, you know, such after a great fight like that. Everybody's looking forward to the second bout, but unfortunately, things ain't lining up as planned, so we just can't sit around and wait. We gotta move forward and continue our career. You know, we're not in a position just to see stagnated and wait for something like that to happen. That fight's gonna be there, you know, hopefully it happens soon, but we're looking to get back in the ring for the year out, and I think we will, you know what I'm saying? So just listen out for the next news update.
In the end, despite Lamont Roach Jr.'s best efforts, the rematch everyone was highly anticipating did not occur, forcing the fighter to take the other route to receive the fame he was destined to get by calling out one of the greatest, Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather would respond to this call out or not is another question, but what do you think about this scenario? Would this call out save Lamont Roach Jr. from the embarrassment of not having the rematch he worked so hard for? And would Jake really be able to beat the Tank? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to stay updated on the latest news.